Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show!
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years.
So get ready! I mean, get ready! Are you ready for some football?
You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. A weekly podcast about sports since 2011. With a focus on football. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. A little bit of a delay, interruption in our schedule. Haven't been here in a month. Justin's here with me, as usual.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
And we have not one, but two guests in the studio here with us tonight. We welcome in Dr. Andy Hoffert back for a second time because he is once again our March Madness Bracket Challenge winner. So congratulations, Andy, on winning and you know, the joy to come back on the show. But I think you had a good time when you were here 2 years ago.
I did. This is an exciting experience. I'm just so glad to be back. It wasn't a repeat, but
that's right. There was a little gap year.
Gap.
Yeah, my cousin's son won.
Yeah.
The previous year, we had him on with my cousin. It was a lot of fun. And you brought a guest with you tonight who also performed very well in the bracket challenge. Your son, Wes.
Yep.
You finished second, Wes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were right there the whole time.
He was in the lead for quite
He
a while.
was.
Yeah.
I was kind of nervous, actually. He was going to be flying solo.
Yeah. So
Austin's going to be so mad at me when he finds out that Wes was here tonight.
oh, you didn't tell him.
I didn't tell him. Did you tell him?
I think he knows. I don't know.
Okay, he might know. You may have told him. That doesn't mean he knows.
That's
So,
right.
so.
In one ear, out the other.
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
I gave Andy almost immediately after he won the shirt, but he already had one. So I said, let's give this one to Wes. So Wes wearing the shirt tonight, which I love to see it. And it's big enough that he can grow into it
Absolutely.
over the time. He can wear it for years, which is great. You know, got to continue to spread awareness of the show because we've only been doing it for 14 years. We're fresh.
I was going to say,
You know?
well, and if we schedule it in another 2 years, they'll be back on for winning the
Right,
bracket
yeah,
challenge. So,
they can
you
be
know.
back again, sure. And Andy and Wes have great topics for us this evening, stuff we've talked about a lot in the history of the show and over the last few weeks. We're going to talk Penn State, specifically Penn State football, and Phillies baseball, and even better, some ballpark expectations or experiences, you know, food and fan events and all that kind of stuff. So really, guys, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Where do you want to start? What's the first topic you want to tackle?
Well, I mean, we're all kind of reeling from today's Phillies loss.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so maybe we can start with the Phillies as
Sure.
as a
Yeah.
We can
kickoff here.
100% start with the Phillies, who unfortunately, like you mentioned, fell this afternoon, early evening in extra innings. We're down big early 7-1. Fought back a few times to get it closer to tie, but then extra innings weren't kind. Interesting lineup decisions we talked about off the air, and that taxed and not great bullpen playing into it. Although, honestly, they weren't the issue today. It was a poor start from Ranger and some defensive lapses that maybe put the Phillies in a situation that that ended up costing them. But so let's start with let's start at the ballpark and let's go with the snacks. I believe you have some top 5 snacks for us, Wes.
Yeah.
All right. So now this is Citizens Bank Park specific, right? This is
Yeah.
your
It is.
experience when you go to CBP. Have you been there already this year?
Yes, I've been there.
All right.
Yeah.
Did they win when you were there?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
yeah.
So I always tell Justin whenever he texts me that he's going, I say, you can't come home if they don't win. Like, I don't want to see you after a loss. Don't do that to me. So, all right, Wes, do you want to do
So-
like a top 5? Like you want
Or
to
do you
rank
wanna do it,
them?
like one at a time. Like, what do you want to do?
I have a top 5.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, let me frame this first.
Okay.
Because we have some rules.
Okay,
in our
sure,
house,
absolutely.
when
Justin
we
and I
go to
love
games.
rules,
Yeah.
so
So we've for the last couple of years made it a tradition to try to go on opening weekend. Usually in the past couple of years that's been Easter weekend, so it's been Easter Saturday we'd go. This year for whatever reason calendar didn't line up, but Easter weekend was a couple weeks into the season. We did end up going on Friday night this year. That was our family game, and we all go. When we go, it's the 5 of us, and then this year Jake's girlfriend came along as well. So there's 6 of us going to the game, and usually when that happens, the experience is a little bit different than when it's maybe just me and Jake, or maybe just me and Wes, or 1 or 2 of us, because we do things a little bit differently. But we've always had a rule, even at the Reading Phillies, we've had a rule from when the kids were young. The snacks go by innings, right?
Okay.
So you have to make it
all right, I'm interested.
to the 3rd inning before the
Yeah.
first snack is allowed. You know this, right?
The Hoffert
I
School
know.
of Baseball
Absolutely.
Snacks.
This is how you keep them involved in the game. Like they're working towards that first snack. So
Can we adopt this for Education Day at the
Sure.
Reading Phillies?
Absolutely.
Can we make this a requirement?
are you
for
on
the-
that trip? Are you doing
I've
that?
done it 2 or 3 of the few years, but now
Yeah.
this year I don't believe 4th grade is going. They did the Royals game in February,
Okay. Yep.
so I don't believe they're doing Reading Phillies. Natalie is going with 6th grade as part of
Yeah.
a different thing as a reward, I think,
Yeah.
for a donation or something. But I am not chaperoning Education Day. I don't think 4th grade is going. So.
Wes is going
I'm
with 5th
going.
grade this year.
Okay,
I'm going.
We're
excellent.
going later in the month.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was probably coming up.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right. So ground rule set.
So ground rule set. We usually wait at least 3 innings between types of snacks. Depends on what time of day the game is, because if we've gotten dinner on the way to the game, that changes the whole
sure.
perspective of snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my rule always is when we're at Citizens Bank for an evening game, I try to get the food first, bring that back to the
Yep,
seats, and then I don't leave the seats
Uh,
after that.
exactly.
We
That's
let the
you
kids
100%.
They can kind of move around. When the older kids are there, they'll take some of the younger ones, and then
Yeah.
I don't have to go.
You don't
anywhere.
have to leave, right?
I can stay focused. But yeah, so 3rd inning, especially at Reading Phillies, usually that's the fry inning.
That sounds. I was gonna
So-
say, if you're talking Reading Phillies, the fry has
Fresh
to
hot
have an
fries.
inning. Yep, because those
Yeah.
fries are fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're really good.
And then later in the game is when we go for ice cream.
Ice cream,
That's
right? Yeah.
later.
Well, usually at the end of the game, we usually get like milkshakes.
That's what you always
So,
want.
Yeah.
have you ever tackled? And I don't know. This was a last year thing. It actually happened on Education Day. I didn't know it even existed. A like full size helmet with ice cream. Have you seen that?
Oh, I seen that.
Yeah.
No, we're not going for
I,
that.
Yeah,
I
we
think
didn't.
I don't know. I think that's the
I've
next.
seen
I
that.
think that's the next thing.
That's insanity. That's going to melt before you get close.
That's definitely 5 innings.
Well, and the student that bought it, it was like an inning before we were leaving.
Jeez.
And I was like, well, because probably had to wait in line for 45 minutes to get
Yeah.
it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he came back with it, and the whole section watched him. He ate the whole thing
Oh,
before
damn.
we had to get on the bus. So, yeah, it was impressive. Wasn't well, I don't believe it was a Cornell Terrace student, so I didn't know who it was. But, yeah. All right.
All right, so Wes, your top 5, start from the bottom, go towards number 1, and explain.
All right, so my last one was probably hot dogs because like I don't really get them that much, and they're not. Nah.
Okay. So, is this specific, like just a plain ballpark hot dog?
Yeah.
Hot
Okay.
dog, not caught from
Right, from the fanatic, right, or the
or caught
or
from the,
crazy hot dog vendor or something. that takes it up a notch.
It does,
like if you're
yeah.
getting it from a mascot, that's got to count for something.
Yeah.
So, have you ever been to? I don't know if the Reading Phillies do it or not, but Philadelphia Phillies on either R.I.P. Dollar
yeah,
Dog
I
Night,
remember that, yeah.
or how about BOGO Night now?
yeah.
Have anyone been there for any of those events?
I've been on Dollar Dog Night before, and
Oh, I think we were there.
No.
and I mean I've done it before. This is a long time ago, but like and didn't even know until like you get there and you're like, oh, and it's just like it's almost it felt like they were laying down a challenge as you
Yeah.
were walking in. Like it's
Well,
like okay, well, here we go.
Justin, I think needs to take the 9 hot dogs, 9.
Oh gosh, the
You
nine,
know,
nine,
one
nine.
per inning. Yeah,
That's great.
I think that's what we got to do. Okay, so you're not a big ballpark hot dog guy. So that's not your thing. That's down at the bottom.
It makes the top 5, right?
Okay,
But
it makes the
Yeah.
cut, but it's not.
number
It's
5.
not.
It's
as
not,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, what about you? What do you think about ballpark hot dogs?
That's not what I go for
Okay.
typically at Citizens Bank. Usually my first choice is Italian pork sandwich.
Okay.
That's what I always
Okay.
go for.
Sure.
A little side of fries.
Get that. Yeah.
And that's what I take back to the seat, and then I don't.
That's right. I'm done. All right, Wes. So what's 4? What's number 4?
4. I mean, ice cream because like I don't get it that much. Like I mostly get milkshakes, which is
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, ice cream. I don't really get it that much, and there's not a lot of flavors.
What would your go-to ice cream be if you were would you get it out of the mini helmet?
Usually yeah.
Okay, and what would you pick if you were getting the ice cream in the mini
mean,
helmet?
Sometimes it's just like vanilla.
It's classic.
Yeah, but I think there's like cookies and cream. There might be like cookies and cream there.
Yeah, I'm not a big ice cream guy, so it's not something I do often, but I do
Yeah.
love the mini helmets and the new hats that they've been wearing
Yes.
throughout spring training, and I think
Yes.
Lehigh Valley
got
introduced
one.
them. You got one?
I have
Excellent.
Got one of the new
Well, I
ones.
saw
Nice.
last night Kruk had a new one on, it looked like, but it might be a custom.
It had a star on it.
It had the Fanatic Bowl. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I saw it, but I paid more attention. It looked like the ice cream was like swirl.
Yeah, it was,
Oh,
and it
yeah,
had
that
sprinkles
one.
on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's what John Kruk was very happy for the ice cream to have sprinkles on it. The hat he was wearing, but I'm not even sure it's an official Majestic. Which I was like, how can you wear that without
I saw
wonder
that.
I think that might be a giveaway hat. at
a
some
giveaway
point.
hat?
Yeah, I was
Okay,
gonna say,
yeah.
I think
Because
I've
here's
seen
the
them.
thing, though. Like, I can understand that they wouldn't necessarily put it on air, but if Kruk has one, I could see him just wearing whatever he wants.
Right, because he's
Like,
kind of like,
If they
I
told
do
him,
what I
hey,
want.
that's not officially licensed merchandise, you can't wear it.
he's just gonna stare
I could
at
see him just like walking by, like,
He's like, you're right. It's
Well,
not.
'cause
yeah.
I said that I liked it because I was like, oh, it's cool that it's a Fanatic mini helmet.
Yeah.
And it honestly looked like orange cream vanilla swirl, which I love. Orange cream is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
And it had the sprinkle, it just looked cool and different. And it was a cream base hat. And Kelly looked it up and she's like, I can only find it on Etsy. I was like, oh, wow, okay. I would have thought it was Majestic or, Fanatics approved, but maybe not. But yeah, we know John Kruk. He's a little bit of an interesting broadcaster.
Unorthodox.
Unorthodox is a good way to put it. All right, Wes. So we had hot dog at 5, ice cream at 4. What's your top 3? Hit us with number 3.
Top 3 burger
Okay.
because so I don't get it that much, like rarely, but I get it. It's a classic. It's good.
Do you have a specific place you like to get it from? Like, is there one stand that does it better, or is it just kind of a general like just get a burger
It's-
at the stadium?
Yeah, it's just like a general. Yeah.
What do you put on your burger?
Cheese and ketchup.
That's
Cheese,
it.
cheese and ketchup.
My man.
Yeah,
That is
this
it.
is a Justin special right
Yeah.
here. It's like plain hot dog, just a vanilla ice cream, and then a cheeseburger with ketchup.
Yep. Yeah, the folks at the stand right next to Bull's Barbecue, it
Yeah.
like pains them to not put all the stuff
All
on
the
those
stuff,
burgers.
everything,
They don't
yeah.
just have a plain one there. So
Right.
We always have to tell them
Don't put anything on it.
seriously, Just the burger.
Just cheese.
Or
cheese.
Shake Shack. Shake Shack's another one.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
Shake
very
Shack.
good. Yep,
Good
good
spot.
stuff. All right. So how about number 2?
French fries.
Oh, French
They're
fries.
good.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
Fresh hot fries. Jake always prided himself when we were at Reading Phillies to getting there just as they're getting the fresh batch out, getting the real hot ones.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The Reading Phillies fries are
They're
phenomenal.
fantastic.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
Really good.
We actually we've been playing around with the fries at the sandwich shop over the last few months. We had for a bit had the fresh cut.
Yeah.
We have to move those really fast because they start to go bad, and we were getting some complaints on how long it takes to cook them. They were longer fry, and that was one of the things that I was like, it takes too long to make. We need to go
Yeah.
back to the other ones. But now we went to ones where we actually have very, very similar to the Reading Phillies fry.
Like the shoestring.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
thinner
Yeah,
cut.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so definitely recommend giving those a try because I think they're really good. I think they're better than the ones we've had recently.
I have always said the fries at the shop are like top 5.
Yeah.
Definitely for ones
Did
that
you
I've
like the fresh cut when we had them for a few months?
I feel like the 2-3 year ago kind.
Okay.
That you used to have.
That's where
those
we
are my
went back
favorites.
to
Yeah.
until we switched to this. Yeah, they're not quite you know how Austin's had the really thin
Yeah.
shoestring ones?
Yeah.
These are like the Reading Phillies
Okay.
one. They're kind of in between your traditional cut and the really thin ones. These are the like really close to what I would say the Reading Phillies offer.
All right, I'm gonna have to come.
You
in
got
for
you
this.
got to give them a try. So, all right, French fries at 2 is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see what's at number 1 though, because I feel like this could go a few directions. I think it's either gonna make me really happy or it's gonna make Justin really happy. So, I got it. All right, Wes, what is number 1 ballpark food?
I gotta go with milkshakes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were gonna come back around to it because you said the ice cream. You said milkshakes was number one. I honestly thought we were getting an entree there.
Oh, no.
So I'm okay with that. The milkshake is fine because I thought you were gonna hit us with either like a cheesesteak or chicken tenders because Justin is king chicken tender over here.
I do like chicken tenders. They would definitely be
All
on my
right,
list.
milkshake. So what is your favorite flavor of milkshake?
Well, the one at the stadium is vanilla.
Vanilla.
It's like it's a thick milkshake, and it's really good.
That hits the spot.
And
Now,
that's
what
usually
is-
the Shake Shack one, right?
Oh, Shake Shack
Yeah,
has
yeah,
great,
yeah, yeah.
great milkshakes. Yeah. So, what inning does the milkshake come into play?
Fourth, maybe.
That's
late-
usually one of the early.
It's either fourth or the end of the game.
Right.
later in
Okay.
the game,
Sure.
Especially if it's raining, you might
Yeah.
head in.
Now, are there any caveats with your food that if they win the game and you hadn't got a milkshake yet, well, you can get it, or is it tied to the performance on the field at all?
Well, I guess kind of. I mean,
I wouldn't put that kind of pressure on them.
Yeah, because you go for the experience.
We
The
do.
win is a bonus.
The win is a
It's
bonus.
all about being there with family and
It's
enjoying the
not
atmosphere.
exactly the same thing, but Joey and I, after Wilson football games in
That's
the
right.
fall, Wawa is for
Yeah.
winners.
Wawa is for
So,
winners.
So
Yeah.
when we win, and Austin's like hanging around, he'd be like, "Can we stop at Wawa?" Sure, we won. Yeah.
Yeah, that
stop at
started with
Wawa.
Justin and me, like, I don't know, it was pre-COVID. It was back probably 2017, 2018. It was just the two of us. And then I think the wives caught wind of it, and Kelly would always text me, be like, are we winners? Are we getting some food tonight at 10:30 at night? And now that Austin's at the game and Natalie's at the games, now this is kind of ballooned into everyone knows. Well, if you see us at Wawa, that means a Wilson football victory. So, all right.
So when you guys go to games, I'm curious, just about your own experience. Like, are there certain sections you try to always stick to? Are there certain
Yeah.
things you do every time you go?
So my voyage to the ballpark is few and far between. I don't get there that often. Last year we took the girls for the first time. It was fantastic. They crushed the Diamondbacks like 13-1 or something like that. We saw 5
Jeez.
home runs. It was awesome, especially at that time. We still felt like we were getting revenge for the 2023 NLCS.
We
So
were still
Yeah.
talking about that today.
yeah, that one's gonna get us for a while. So.
Yeah.
Reading Phillies, it's the fries. That's a must. I have to get fries. Whatever, if we're doing a full dinner, entree wise, I can go anywhere from hot dog, pizza, whatever, at the Reading Phillies. Philadelphia Phillies, I'm always getting a cheesesteak. That's my favorite food in the world, is getting a cheesesteak. And I'll usually hop around. I like when they have a specialty one. If they have, they're highlighting. Sometimes they do like a players or coach special. I think the last time I was down last June, I got one. I think it was Charlie Man. I think they had like a Charlie Manuel cheesesteak that was like they're advertising. So I got that one. That's like my must, is like I must get a cheesesteak when I go to the ballpark. And then the family's always getting fries, and the girls are big on the ice cream. That's for sure. We haven't gone the milkshake route now, Wes. So I think that might be where we need to focus our money towards the next time we head to the ballpark, whether in Reading or Philly. We might have to get shake, especially I know in Philly those Shake Shack shakes are fantastic.
Yeah, those are good.
Hot tip later in the game: Shake Shack line is not bad.
Not
at
bad
all.
at
Yeah,
the
that's
end.
right.
So
Yeah.
wait, be patient.
Patient,
Right,
you gotta
right.
win it.
What about you, Justin? Ballpark food.
So at Citizens Bank Park, like I really kind of do mix it up a little bit. I do like the hot dogs, but to me, this is pure just whatever. This is like, it's baseball. Like the hot dog is like a snack. Like I don't want to
Right.
eat the hot
No,
dog
you're
like
right.
as my meal at the
Yeah.
game. I mean, I can. If I'm not that hungry, I would. But like, especially like not like the huge ones. If they're like just like the regular ones they used to do on like Dollar Dog Night or whatever. Yeah, I
yeah.
could eat one of those like nothing.
Yeah,
you know?
it
So
is
like hot
nothing.
dogs are definitely on my list. I
Hot dogs an
don't
appetizer.
I love ice cream. I don't get ice cream at the ballpark that often. I really like the Philadelphia water ice.
Okay.
And the cherry.
Sure, yeah.
And it
That's like your
doesn't
classic.
and it doesn't have chunks of cherry in it like
Yeah.
Rita's.
Justin doesn't like Rita's.
I don't like
So
Rita's.
it's
He's because there's chunks of cherry and everybody's like, don't be ridiculous. But I'm like, yeah.
Justin and I agree on a lot of things. when it comes to many aspects,
Right.
especially when we talk sports. I think a lot of times people wish we had differing opinions when it comes to Penn State and the Phillies and outlooks and expectations, but we don't. Like, we're almost always in lockstep. Food is one thing where Justin and I are nowhere close to agreeing on anything.
I do like the Manco pizza. Like, I feel like it's really good ballpark pizza because it's super thin and it's crispy. So I feel like, because I usually was not a pizza, it's just, I don't know. I'll eat pizza, but like, I like pizza, but I usually didn't get it at the ballpark. But I like that. But if I have to pick something, I'm probably doing the Chickies cutlets and the crab fries.
Crab fries.
Yep, the crab fries.
They're probably, that would probably be my number one. It would be like that combo. But I'd put the fries over the chicken tenders.
So, Wes, you're a crab fry guy. You like the crab fries?
There's always a long line, but
There
yeah.
is.
So you're a fan?
I have a block about crab fries at the
Okay.
ballpark, and I think it's because they're like $47.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, so, and that was the thing a couple years ago in that playoff run when I was like wheeling my dad down because he was in the wheelchair at the time. We would park at our spots, which, I mean, except for the whole broken leg part, like, it was awesome. But like, we get there and then I get parked, literally like parked, but then also go into the stadium, kind of set him up, and then I'd go get food. Because again, especially in that playoff mode, like, it was just him and I. So like, Austin wasn't there, it was just him and I. Like, we're gonna go in, we're gonna like do all the things we need to do, and then we're just gonna park and like, we're staying there. Like, we're staying there.
Yep.
And I went and got like 2 playoff souvenir cups and 2 hot dogs. Now, they were the bigger hot dogs. They're not like massive, but they were like, you know, like the quarter-pound hot dog or whatever.
Yeah.
$44.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
2
yeah.
sodas and 2
jeez.
hot dogs.
Yeah, it's
Like, and again, I know, but like, it is one of those things where I remember, like, we've gone to like Disney, and like, you know, I know people are like, oh, the food price, and don't get me wrong, it is like expensive, but like, it's not as expensive as like a Phillies game. You know, like, so like when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I think there's a sticker shock for a lot of people in those situations, but because I've been to a number of Phillies games and things like that, like, I'm like, oh,
you know
like,
what to expect.
right? Like, the bottle of water is only like $5. Like, that's a lot cheaper than like a Phillies game. You know, like, like that's kind of like, like, oh,
That's
okay.
your measuring stick now.
Yeah. All right. So, very good intro talking Phillies and food at the ballpark. Good stuff there. Let's see. Where did you go next? Do we want to stick with anything in the Phillies, or we want to pivot off to Penn State? Well, let's finish with the Phillies topics. Let's talk the start of the season here now. What are we, about 35-ish games in or something like that?
19 and 15
I
now.
think so.
Is that 34? Okay,
34.
yeah. So, you know, I think, 3 games above 500 or something like that?
4 games.
Four-
I think I saw 19 and 15 today.
Okay, is that
That's what it was.
is that right?
I'll double check.
It's close to that. It's
I
right
don't know if
around
that was
there.
before or after the game was
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, so had a pretty good start. I think
Yeah.
they were 7-2, I think, after their first
We're
9.
19 and 15 right now.
19 and 15. Okay.
Okay.
So under 500 since that pretty good start of playing kind of your average baseball. It's a long
6 and
season.
4 over our last 10.
It's a long season, and if you can maintain a 6-4 pace throughout the
I was
season,
gonna say,
we know good things happen.
It's crazy because 6 and 4
Doesn't sound
in
middling.
any like
Any
sport
other
thing,
sport.
you're like, oh, that's not good. But 6 and 4 in baseball, when you're playing 162,
It's like 90
Yeah.
some wins,
if you
right?
keep winning 6 and 4,
Isn't it like
it would be-
96 wins or something around there?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so 6-4 is a good place to be. I think the expectations coming into the season are so sky high. Expecting probably close to 100 wins. They've gone up 3 years in a row now.
It'd be 97 wins.
97. Hey, there you go.
97.
97 wins would be fantastic. I'd sign up for that in an instant every year. It's just in the moment, it's frustrating,
Right.
For them to go 5-5 or 6-4 in the course of 10 games. But extrapolated over a 162 game season, it adds up. What do you guys think so far about the Phillies 2025 season?
So I don't know. I'm not going to say that I had super high expectations coming in. I think the bar had kind of been set. So and maybe that is a high expectation for winning. I think if you look kind of at the bigger picture, like you said, it's a 162 game season. You've got you're winning series, right? You're not really dropping series to different teams. You had the Mets series, which is horrific, and I'm trying to put that out of my mind. But other than that, you're keeping pace at least. Now, I think the frustrating thing has been some of the droughts that have been happening with some of the hitters, and maybe that's just us being a little bit spoiled by some of the success that we saw at the end of last season.
Yeah, that
Alec
was-
Boehm especially. I mean, he was killing it last year with the RBI race, and all of a sudden he comes out this season, and where the heck did he go?
I
Right?
have no idea.
And that was part of the early frustration. But if you step back and look at the overall success of the team, they're still moving, like we said, on that pace. They're still on a pace to make the playoffs, and that's really what matters.
Yeah, I have kind of, and it's impossible to do. Like, I can't actually accept this, but this is the point of view I try to remind myself, is that we've reached the point where you need to be playoff eligible, but short of that, the regular season doesn't matter. Because we've kind of been the opposite, where I've gotten really wrapped up in the success of the regular season the last few years, and then, like, literally they just forgot how to hit against the Diamondbacks. And then last year, you could see it coming from a mile away. The Mets were the hottest team in baseball, and the Phillies were good, but weren't hot at the time. And so here, I'm literally just saying, like, look, if you just slow and steady win your 6 out of 4 consistently, maybe every now and then get a 7-3, but have more 7-3s than you do 5-5s, and you can end up in a good spot making the playoffs. I'd love not to be in one of those playoff series, but that's probably going to happen because, like, Dodgers are probably going to run. Like, again, that's the other thing with baseball. You never know, but, like, it's 162, so teams run it. Statistically speaking, things can play themselves out. And I think they're going to run away with that 1 seed, I believe. But if the Phillies can just make it in there and then just be hot and healthy when the postseason comes, like, take your chances. But I find it interesting. You mentioned it. Like, everyone knows the expectation of the season. And, like, when you listen to, like, 8:30, like, and then, like, home of the Phillies, they're here to, like, win it. Like, they're back to claim the championship that they were so close to getting, essentially. And you're just like, yeah. And it's just different when that's the standard. Like, I don't want to say anything short of World Series is a failure, but, like,
I probably would
at this point
with these
you might.
guys.
And this was an
Yeah.
interesting thing when I was listening to the game last night, and they were talking about how the only difference, now not batting order, but the only player the Phillies had on the field last night against the Diamondbacks that was not in the lineup against them 2 years ago was Kepler. And it's like,
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I love these guys. Like, I do. But, like, at some point, they got to break through. Or
unless they go back to the World Series, they'll be seen as a bunch of very good people, like
Right.
very good players.
Well,
They're not going to
and
be remembered with
it came up when we talked about our favorite Phillies.
Yeah.
And that was a wildly popular show for us when we did our, like,
Andy
5
was
favorite
watching.
Phillies.
He was commenting.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, there's a lot of guys on this team who could skyrocket up that list if they were to win.
Yeah.
But, like, until that happens, it's hard to. They're great players, and I love them. But, like, it's a whole different level.
I think it comes.
See also Jalen Hurts. See Nick Foles. Like, those guys for the Eagles, it's the same thing.
I think the legend, the status of this current crop really depends on. If they get back to another World Series, I think they'll be talked about for a long time. If they win it, it's guaranteed. I think it's also the way if they don't get to the top of the mountain, it depends on how it ends. Did it end because of the bullpen blown saves,
Right.
or was it because they couldn't hit? And if it's because they can't hit again for a third straight postseason, that's I believe is really going to hurt
Right.
their long-term status in people's minds. Like,
Well, right.
you couldn't stop swinging when you knew the ball wasn't going to be anywhere near the strike zone, because that's the last 2 years.
Right.
Some of the pitches that they were hacking at, it's maddening. And I know it's easy to be armchair, batter in this instance, but everyone knew what was coming.
Well, and the thing is, like, you looked at it, the teams and their pitching approaches adjusted to the Phillies, and the Phillies did not adjust.
They couldn't be patient.
And they didn't adjust the next year, and they didn't adjust, and it's one of those where, well, you kind of put yourself in this spot. And again, I said it to Joey when he said it. I'm like, I want nothing more than for that Jimmy Rollins quote to Bryce Harper of, hey, you're sick and tired of hearing about the 2008 team? Go win one. Mm-hmm. Which was kind of taken out of context, but it is true. And I would love nothing more for that to be the quote that kind of replaces his, we're the team to beat. I know that was 2007, but that kind of fueled that.
He one-upped
start.
himself the next year.
Right.
That team.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping here. Little Schadenfreude with the Mets with their hot start now. I hope we see 07 and 08 come back, and they're the ones that are scrambling near the end. Whether it's to win or not win the division title, I'd much prefer to be in the playoffs. As I love adding another flag, but if you don't at a minimum make the World Series, I don't care about those flags. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. I want the pennant. That was the biggest thing. I remember being 8 years old and the 93 team. I still, up until the 08 team won the World Series, nothing was going to push that 93 team aside until they got farther. So
I wonder sometimes if the expectations, the fact that, everybody looks at the Phillies as the team to beat, if that's not defeating almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, kind of an opposite. Like we've always been successful with the underdog mindset. Mm-hmm. We were talking about a different team with the underdog mindset before. But if we're not clawing back from that position, does that put us at a disadvantage in some ways?
Well, and that's, I think, where if we see the Mets kind of keep off on this hot pace, and maybe they win the division, mm-hmm. but the Phillies are the hot team at the end and the healthy team at the end. Maybe it's their turn to kind of hit. You look at the years where they made the World Series, and then again they fell apart against the Diamondbacks. Both of those years, they were going. Things were clicking at the end.
Yeah.
You could just feel that this team was really good and ready to go. And last year, I was in denial about it, but you could see it coming because they hadn't been right in a month and a half or 2 months. Honestly, they weren't right ever.
They weren't right since they went to the United Kingdom.
Right. When they went to London and they blew Game 2, they should have won Game 2. When they blew it, they were never the same after that. Which also irritates me so much that they came back from that and had to go to
immediately
Boston.
Had to play on the road.
You should get a home game automatically after that. I don't understand how that works.
No, I agree. All right, so we're gonna shift gears from the Phillies. We're gonna throw this one back to Wes, a little divergent topic before we finish with Penn State. Not related, but related to this topic, and today is a special day because it's Star Wars Day. So. I titled this, I don't know if you saw, Dr. Hoffert Strikes Back is the name of the episode for his second appearance on this show, which is great.
May the fourth be with you, Ben.
Thank you. Yes, I have my...
You're supposed to say, and also with you.
Yes, and also with you. So I have my Star Wars gear on. I had it on all day. Started the day off with my wife and daughters also wishing me a happy Star Wars Day. We're not going to talk Star Wars, but we are going to talk Disney adjacent property with Marvel. So I want to talk a little Spider-Man right now. That's where we're gonna go. So you have some opinions on the actors who play Spider-Man.
Yeah, the live action ones.
All right. So are you ranking them just like we did the ballpark food, or you just want to throw them out there and do a good and a bad?
Well, I did rank them,
Okay,
but I guess we could.
No. I want to do the rank. We love rankings. We love lists. So do you have do you have 5? How many do you have?
Well,
You're
I only
just
got
doing-
the 3.
You're doing the 3. Okay.
The 3
I wasn't
live
sure
action.
how far back and what eras we were going with. Okay, so just the 3 right now. I'm interested to hear your opinion because I don't know your opinion on Marvel, on the movies of the last 10 plus years. So I'm interested to see where you're at here. So who in the Marvel Spider-Man universe, Who's your number 3 actor?
My number 3 is Tom Holland because like he's could have been a better Spider-Man, but
Okay,
Just not feeling the new vibe of the Spider-Man.
nah, I don't like them.
I feel like that is a hot take based on what I'm not I love Marvel movies. I do not know it anywhere close to as I do some of the sports stuff we talk about or Star Wars and Ghostbusters. So, but I feel like most people really like Tom Holland. So you're not a big fan. So, all right. Well, then who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Andrew Garfield
Okay.
because
All right. I feel a little bit better. I was wondering where that was going because I'll be honest and I'll let you finish. I haven't seen the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies.
they're good.
Okay, they're good. I got to check them out then. I liked him in the crossover event.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his 2 build-up ones. All right. So what about Andrew Garfield? That do you like or not like?
It's just he's one of my favorite actors for those like movies. I think there's 2 or 3. But yeah, he's a good Spider-Man. He actually like acts good.
You like that? So are you not a Tom Holland fan in general, or just at him as Spider-Man? Have you seen him in anything else?
I have. I don't.
No, you just like whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So then we know who your number 1 is. I'm sure Justin can answer who number 1 is.
I can't watch all the list, but I would know. I would know this one. This is
Because
the
you
one.
saw him when we were in high school.
Right. Well, and the only one of the Spider-Man movies
That
I've
you have seen,
is-
I'm sure
is-
that
is
these
Tobey-
are not topics for Justin. This is a
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. When he was saying things we don't agree on, it's oftentimes movies.
Oh, yes.
Not because we necessarily have different takes on all movies.
Justin.
Some we
Justin
do.
hasn't seen movies. That's the problem.
Oh,
I-
jeez.
Okay.
Like the only Spider-Man movies I've seen are the ones that came out like when I was in high school.
We did many years ago. I think 2017. We did our own like March Madness bracket where we did movies. We did a huge like 64 movie field where Justin and I each got a quadrant, and then we also got our sisters to do a quadrant and our dads to do a quadrant. So the movies were all over the map.
Okay.
And then we put it out for public voting. But it was tough for him to even be like, I don't even know what I'm going to pick here. And
Right.
like, I can't even vote. I haven't seen that movie.
Right. I had to do some homework to fill out 16 movies.
But yeah, okay, so who's your number 1?
Number 1, Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
Heck
All
yeah.
right, absolutely.
I did love the Spider-Man.
Great,
Like, the
yeah.
first Spider-Man movie, especially because, at least as far as I remember, that was like the first movie like that I remember when I was like in maybe late high school. Not exactly sure. But
Yeah, I think you might have been. I want to say it came out in 02.
it
It
could have
was.
been.
Yeah, it was
or
02.
Yeah, 02.
Okay. Yep.
So, all right. So, why do you like Tobey Maguire?
He's a good actor, and he's like.
He's the OG.
Is the
He's OG.
Yeah, that's
original-
right.
So, is one of his movies your favorite of all the Spider-Man movies? Then?
I like the second.
Spider-Man. The one with you like the one with Doc Ock
Well, it's either that one or the third one with like Venom
with
and
Venom.
Sandman.
Yeah. You like I haven't seen the third one all that much. Honestly, I may have only seen it once, but the first 2 I've seen a ton.
Yeah.
And they're awesome. My wife hates Spider-Man for whatever reason.
Really?
She's like, I can't get into Spider-Man. Because I've tried to get her to watch the Marvel movies, and actually recently was just the 6-year anniversary since Endgame came out, and that was a huge thing, and that was an awesome experience. I don't expect you would have had to watch 22 movies. He's not watching
You gotta
22
catch up.
movies.
I've seen some of the first movies of the Marvel like franchise like characters, except Iron Man. I've seen a bunch of the Iron Man movies.
I really enjoy the first movie in the franchise. Like I'm a sucker for those. Like, I think the first Captain America is one of my favorite
Yes.
Marvel
I love
movies.
that one, yeah.
Like that origin story of Captain America. I love that one. I'm a big fan of the Thor movies. I know some people are iffy. I like the first Thor movie. I just like the Marvel Cinematic Universe telling us how they're gonna say their powers came to be, or who
Yeah.
how they started their origin story. I really enjoy those. But
And I think maybe the issue with Tom Holland is we didn't really get that with Spider-Man,
Right,
And,
well,
and that iteration.
that's such the Marvel Sony thing is
Yeah.
just so very weird. You're right. We didn't get
Especially
that.
around like Spider-Man. I know like
Yeah.
there's a number of like franchises where it is weird, but like Batman's another weird one.
Yeah.
In other areas,
Right.
but like Spider-Man's is weird. with
Yeah,
that regard.
so we got the Spider-Man origin with Tobey Maguire. Like we got to
Right.
see their version of that. I know 20 plus years ago, people are all up in arms about how they decided to do that, but we didn't see the Tom Holland origin
Yeah.
story. We jumped right into him
Yeah.
being given the suits and everything. So yeah, that could be a huge thing that you don't have that connection
Yeah.
with Tom Holland's version of the character. So
I think one of the cool things they did in the crossover film when all three Spider-Men
Spider-Man.
were there was kind of pointing out the differences between each of them and how
Yeah.
their powers iterated. Like
Yep.
Tobey Maguire's, his webs come out of
Yeah,
his
his
body,
webs
and
come
they
out.
were shocked about that. That was a really funny part.
yeah,
And then
I-
they recreated the meme at the end.
Right, yeah, they're all pointing at each other. Yeah, I appreciate that. Probably one of the best Marvel movies that I've seen is that one. It's
Yeah,
excellent.
that's a good one.
Really, really cool. Tried not to get spoiled for any of that, but you kind of knew the writing was on the wall that you're getting. They were trying to work on the multiversal stuff, so you kind of expected Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to show up, and I'm glad they did. And I think it was done really well, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's cool.
excited for ongoing Marvel saga. So Wes? Have you seen the whole MCU? Have you seen everything?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. Have you seen any of like the really recent stuff? Like I know Thunderbolts came out this weekend.
I don't.
No, we didn't see
no.
that one yet.
Okay, and there what was the
We
most? What was
saw
the other?
we saw Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
you did
one.
see
That
Brave
was
New
a
World.
good
I
one.
haven't seen that,
That
yet.
was a good one.
I'm looking forward to it because I'm a big Harrison Ford guy,
Yep.
And I love Falcon as the new Captain America. I
He's
love
like
watching
Red
that
Hulk.
series. Yeah, and the Red Hulk coming. So, but I haven't seen the movie yet. But you liked it. You guys liked it?
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but
Yeah, because it
I
came
thought
out
there
in
could have
February,
been-
right? So
yeah, I think it was
like around
earlier this year.
Valentine's Day, I think.
I think there could have been more Red Hulk.
Okay, so
It
they
was
kind of
build up, and then it kind of happened. But
Okay.
but
Yeah.
it's in there. It's
Honestly,
definitely
it
in there.
probably will be on Disney Plus soon, so I
I'm
should be
sure
able
it
to
will
see
be,
it. I should be able to see it momentarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, Thunderbolts just came out. How about the TV shows? You watch the Marvel TV shows?
I watched a lot of
You
the
watched them all?
series.
Okay. Have you seen like both seasons of Loki?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I'm starting. I didn't finish Loki,
Okay.
but I'm about to yeah.
Yeah. All right. Do you have? Is Spider-Man your favorite Marvel character? No. Who's
No.
your favorite Marvel character?
Probably Iron
Iron Man. Yeah. It's tough. Like he's pretty cool.
His
He's pretty
usernames are all Iron Man.
cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Iron
they
Man's the
are.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well then, are you interested to see Robert Downey Jr. come back to be
He's being
not
Dr.
Iron
Doom.
Man? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I'd be
gonna be
interested
tough.
to see what they do with that. I think it's cool. I think he's fantastic in the Marvel
Yeah.
universe. Like, I can't think of a better casting for Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Now that even after the first movie came out in 2008,
Right.
I was like, wow, that was fantastic
Dead on.
casting,
Yep.
It
dead on.
was.
I can feel like he is a real life version of him.
Sure.
You know, maybe without the tech knowledge, but he just kind of feels like he embodies the character, and kind of a redemption story for
him.
for
Yeah, as
him,
an
right?
actor,
You know,
yeah.
as he had some issues and kind of made it big or made it back to big time and has capitalized on it. So, excellent. Well, so last question about Marvel, and we'll finish with Penn State. What's your favorite Marvel movie?
Favorite Marvel movie?
Of all, there's
Ooh.
what like we're closing in, I think, on like 25 of them or something, maybe even almost 30. So there's a lot to choose from. Iron Man's your favorite character, but what's your favorite movie of the lot?
I like Thor Ragnarok. That's a
Okay, you
good
like
one.
Ragnarok, all right? It's a good one, yeah.
Interesting.
So Taika Waititi trying to get a Star Wars movie made as well. He's an interesting director. That was very
Yeah.
very colorful, very 80s 90s vibe to it, but very well received in the franchise. So that's one of your favorites, huh? All right, good stuff. All right, so let's shift gears now and talk a little college football. We're going to talk a little Penn State. And did you guys go up to Blue White Weekend?
We did not.
All right,
no.
did you
We
watch
were-
any of the coverage of it?
A little bit, but
little bit.
obviously not televised this year. So
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it
couldn't-
gets
couldn't
clips.
see
We're
the
only
full
going to get the
game, yeah.
clips
Yeah.
online. So I guess it really wasn't. It was not like a traditional game. They kind of are shifting away from that, I
Yeah.
guess. The media and a lot of the college football analysts and the quote experts very high on Penn State coming into this 2025 season. Obviously, we know how 2024 ended. Pretty high up there. I think we were a little heartbroken with the way things ended against Notre Dame. Thought we were right there, possibly with a berth to the College Football National Championship on the line, the CFP Championship. Not meant to be, but a lot of players have chosen to come back.
Yep.
Penn State
Yep.
has brought back many players, including their quarterback, kind of a big part. Both running backs returning. Most of the offensive line's back. Defense losing Abdul Carter hurts Kevin Winston, who didn't really play much last year because of injury, but he's gone. But really, it's kind of a reloaded team, and people are aware of that around the nation. I don't know that I've seen them lower than like 3 to 5 at worst, and a lot of people are hyping them up to be the preseason number 1. I hate that. I don't like that. We talked about
Yeah.
expectations with the Phillies. I want Penn State behind Ohio State in the rankings.
Yep.
I don't want Penn State in the top 5. I want them to use that as fuel. I don't want to be too high. I just hate. I mean, immediately back in January already, I saw and shared with Justin like, oh my gosh, they got Penn State at number 1. I hate this already. This is going to be a long off season till August. Where are you guys at with Penn State this year?
So
Well-
do you want to go?
Drago. Didn't they draft somebody in Penn State to I think not Chargers, Titans maybe?
Well, Winston went to the Titans, right?
I
Kevin
think.
Winston
He
went to the
did.
Titans.
He
Yeah.
did.
He did.
Yeah, Kevin Winston went to the Titans. Abdul Carter went to the Giants. Tyler Warren went to the Colts. There's a few others, right? I'm missing a couple, and I know there's a few undrafted guys as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Kobe King go to the Vikings.
I think so.
it the
I don't
Vikings?
remember.
I don't remember where he went.
Yeah. So Penn State had 4 or 5 guys drafted, and another handful signed as undrafted free agents. But
So off of a team that finished, top
I
4
think they
in the
technically.
country.
I think the final AP ranking was 5th because they
Right.
put Oregon in front of us.
Okay.
But
So what does that tell you? You've got a handful of guys drafted off a top 5 team.
Yep.
That's a lot coming back, right?
Right.
And we definitely were not hit by the transfer portal like some other teams were.
no, and if there were guys that we lost, they were backfilled.
They
in
were.
by
Well, and part of the reason we probably lost them was because they may have already lost their job.
Right.
Looking
Right.
at the offensive line, Cooper Cousins is probably
Yeah, 'cause-
Yeah.
so we just
He
saw
was
JB
knocking on the
Nelson
door,
go
yes.
into the transfer portal because I believe he was 3rd on the left. I forget left or right guard behind Cousins.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you got Donka coming back from injury, and Nolan Rucci played really well at the end of
He
last year,
did.
and he's
Yeah.
back. So I've seen a lot. People are very high on Jevin Williams from Why I'm Missing.
Yep.
He started, I believe, at right tackle in the modified blue-white game. He's probably going to be more in line to play at guard this season, unless they need him at tackle. But there was a lot of depth there, and they're rolling right into it. I think the biggest thing that Penn State has that needs answered is the thing that just dominates football all the time is quarterback progression and improvement. We've seen Allard get better a little bit each year, but the end of last season really sticks out as something that cannot happen in big games and throughout the year. And obviously also Penn State not being able to get over the Ohio State hump.
So you're not buying into the Drew Allard number 1 pick overall.
No,
hype.
it's not, because the NFL draft is such a weird thing because you can't just look at college football stats and be like, this is the best quarterback, this is the best, because it doesn't work that way. There's
Clearly,
so many more
we've
things.
had
Right. There's so many
significant issues.
things that go into that. So do I think Drew Allard could be the number 1 pick? Yes. And if he is, that
That's
probably
good
means
things
Penn
for
State
Penn
had a
State.
fantastic
Absolutely.
year because it
Yes,
means he
yes.
got better.
Yeah.
And it means, if he goes number 1, it means we're going to have some wide receivers drafted. It means that the offensive line was healthy and played well.
Right.
It means that they were able to get the run and get, it's good things
Yeah.
for Penn State if he is even in the conversation. If he's in the conversation come next January, February, that's huge for Penn State.
I was happy. I wasn't disappointed that Allard came back. I think if I would have been disappointed he came back, that would be a bigger issue as to what I think about him. I'm glad he's back because clearly, tools-wise, physical tools, he's the best option not only at Penn State, but for most of the nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like his physical ability is top-notch. He hasn't put it all together with throwing power, throwing accuracy, and decisions yet. But that's what the offseason for. And like we said, he's gotten better every year. He got better from high school to freshman. He got better from freshman to sophomore. He got better from sophomore to junior. So this is his last opportunity. They've surrounded him with a great offensive line, one of the better offensive lines since he's been a starter that Penn State's probably had in a long time. At least the consistency of having most of the guys back each year and just rotating one or two guys each year. Defense should be great. You have the best defensive coordinator now on your staff in Jim Knowles. You take him away from Ohio State, your rival, whether they want to cop to that or not. I know Michigan, but obviously Penn State is right up there with them. Never going to supplant Michigan, but we can feel right there because Penn State, Ohio State is the second biggest game on their schedule, even if they're just the biggest game for us.
Yeah.
So we live in a world right now where we're talking about Penn State having maybe the top offensive line, well, at least the best one they've had in a decade.
Probably.
Maybe arguably 2 top 5 running backs. Arguably.
Yeah.
Maybe the number 1 quarterback. We're replacing who should have been the number 1 drafted tight end.
Yes.
in Tyler
Yes.
Warren.
100%.
We're replacing him with at least two guys
At
that
least,
have
yeah.
demonstrated the athletic ability to come close to what Tyler
and from a
Warren did.
prospect standpoint are
The tight end room.
higher / further
Yes.
along than Tyler Warren would have
Yes.
been at this point.
Right.
Like not
Right.
it doesn't always continue that way, but like they're higher tight end prospects than Tyler Warren was.
So offensively speaking, the only position I haven't mentioned yet is wide receiver.
Right.
What is the hurdle? What is the issue there?
So yeah, I don't know what the problem is. Is it they're not recruiting the right guys? Are they recruiting guys that are not as good as the recruiting services and the staff think they are? Or, and probably, I don't know which is worse. Are you striking out on the recruiting or are you not developing?
I think
like which is it?
I think it's a little bit of both, and I think it's been a kind of a storm that's been brewing, and that's why we've seen them throw lots of different things at it for
Well, so
5 years now.
the best
or so.
Penn State receiver, the most recent top-notch Penn State receiver was, I guess, Jahan Dotson. Did we throw Parker Washington into that equation at all?
Parker Washington was really good.
Jahan Dotson was probably the most consistent.
Yeah.
And I don't
I'd
know where they
give
landed.
Washington the benefit of the doubt, like, you know.
Because this wasn't always an issue. You know, we
Right. No,
talked
right,
about it because you had, Deshaun Hamilton, you had Chris Godwin,
Well,
you had KJ Hamler.
I look at it as like, and that's why I feel like, all right, well, it got bad when we couldn't get the guys open, but we couldn't even like scheme the guys open. Like we had receivers. There were some games where we're blowing teams out and the guys are getting wide open, but there were some games where like we're not going against Ohio State, we're not going against Notre Dame, and our offensive guys can't get open against their secondary.
Yeah.
Like that's a problem when you're going against Kent State, and they've got the 112th ranked secondary, and like Tyler Warren's making plays, but
Right.
it's the third quarter till like other receivers are making plays. I know it's not exactly that, but like they need to, and so like I appreciate that they're swinging big, like the separate conversation. The NIL thing has become a monster unto itself. The transfer portal has become a monster unto itself. Like combined, they're a huge monster. They're here. And so, like, I want Penn State to be good at them.
Yeah.
Joey and I talk about that all the time. Like, you say what you will. And I can say, like, I'm not going to donate to NIL or whatever. I want Penn State to be good at it. So, clearly, they had to pay the kid from Syracuse.
Yeah, because he wanted big money.
Because he wanted big money. Now, maybe he wanted big money because he's like, well, my quarterback just left. I'm going to be playing for my third quarterback in 3 years here. Like,
I could go play with
maybe
possibly the number one.
Maybe he
pick.
doesn't know. Maybe he's like, so if I'm going to stay here, I'm going to cash in now because I don't know what's going to. I don't know, but like to be able to get him, Penn State had to have paid out like to get him at least something, and so. But I'm like, oh well, what are we going to get? Like, because you need to get production out of him. Like he was ACC wide receiver of the year. I don't know that he'll be Big Ten wide receiver of the year because the best wide receiver at Ohio State is back as a true sophomore.
Right?
So
that's
like
what I was thinking. The best wide receivers in the country are both sophomores. This reminds me back to like 2007 when we were seeing AJ Green at Georgia go up against why am I blanking on the Alabama receiver now?
Was that Julio?
Yeah, Julio Jones.
Yeah.
AJ Green and Julio Jones. Like just watching the two of them play, and now we're gonna watch Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith.
But that's where, like, if the guy turns out to be a Jahan Dotson, if the guy, like, that's a huge
take
win.
100
That's a
Jahan
That's a
Dotsons.
huge win for Penn State. If the guy turns out to be a Parker Washington,
That's a win.
that's
too.
a win for Penn State. And we can't have him be
But it's
another, like, oh my gosh, like, we can't have him be another guy that
just
like,
disappears.
right.
well. This will be the third.
I feel bad, like, picking on Julian Fleming because he saved our butts in the USC game. Saved
He
our
did,
butts.
Yeah.
So wasn't all bad, but like he wasn't the guy we needed him to be all year. He showed up at a huge time and helped save the season. 100% helped save the season.
But didn't make the impact everyone thought he would.
No.
Same thing with the year before with the guy from Kent State.
Right.
Now I can't
Right.
even remember his name, but he
Yeah.
transferred after 1 year because, it just didn't work out. And
Right.
that's the question. Why isn't it working out? Like, what is it? Is it the prospects you're swinging and missing on their abilities or their
Right.
ability to fit
And-
in your scheme? Or are you not developing them? Do you have a bad scheme? Are you having bad wide receiver
Right.
coaching?
Well,
What
and
is it?
Year 2 in this scheme, right?
right.
Year 2 in this scheme. You also, you had a guy who couldn't work his way onto the field enough at Ohio State and decided to transfer. Now, that's not a knock in and of itself because that wide receiver room is better than some NFL wide receiver rooms.
Like, they're all in the
they
NFL
all get
now.
drafted.
so-
They're all
right.
there now.
They're all going to be drafted and they're all going to be like top 3. Like, it's insane. However, like the other guy's coming from Kent State where I can understand where, oh yeah, you had a big year, but like is it going to transfer? Well, it didn't transfer. Now, again, is that some of it there? Is it some of it on Penn State? Like, I don't know. This guy put up in another power conference. I know
Well,
it's
and
the ACC, but
ACC.
he put up huge numbers at Syracuse.
Well, and Hudson's coming
And-
from USC, so
Right, exactly.
I know
So,
the
like-
other guy Ross is coming from Troy, but
Right.
yeah, but like, okay, like
sure.
if you go 0 for 3 here, or honestly even 1 for 3, then you start to like, well, maybe it could be one of those situations where like, we're having all these receivers in, and then they just can't perform when they're here. Well, maybe we're the problem then, and that's
this is
a
my
big
concern.
idea
This
of
is
like,
my concern.
because what do? We've changed wide receiver coaches, we've changed offensive coaches, we've changed like I know.
Well, after this year, we'll be changing quarterback. Like, that's the only other thing I can
Right.
think of. Because
Yeah.
Aller will be the only common thread there because you'll have two
Yeah.
different OCs and 2 different wide receiver coaches
Right.
in those
Yeah.
4 years that he's been here.
Yeah.
And like, it's hard for me to pin wide receiver struggles on a quarterback when you can have Tyler Warren having the year that he had.
Exactly.
Right, right, exactly. And you look at it, there were so many times when they would show like the camera play after, the play, and you're like, where's he supposed to throw it?
Why are
Like,
they
where's
not
he
open?
supposed to
Why are
throw
they
it?
not
Like,
Right.
Yeah. All right. We need to wrap up here. So, final thoughts on Penn State, though. Wesley, you're getting a shout out from a YouTube commenter. You know who that is? Shout out.
Yeah, it's my friend.
All right. Your friends found the stream, saying hello. So, all right. Penn State. I don't want to go into a full expectations because that would be an
Yeah.
entire show. But where are you entering 2025 right now, knowing that probably the transfer portal is probably done?
Yeah.
We shouldn't see any other attrition in that manner. Although I think Penn State does have to technically cut people.
yeah, gotta
So-
get down to
The
105.
105 rule, right?
Yeah.
Although I saw that might
Is it
not
on
actually
hold?
take effect.
Yeah.
Like,
Really?
Well, anytime you get the government and litigation involved, things don't exactly
it irons out everything, right?
doesn't do anyone any good.
I'm sure
So-
there are experts in Congress that can weigh in on
Oh
this and
yes,
really kinda
there's
solve the
there.
problem.
Here, let me tell you, there's no experts in Congress in anything. So, but like, where are we? What are we thinking? What are your hopes for this season?
So, immediately after the national championship game, the articles come out way too early, top 10.
yep.
I literally scream at the phone when I see that. I cannot stand
No,
it.
I hate it. It's awful.
Please don't ever do that. But
I saw the 2026 mock draft Thursday
Yeah,
night
of
2
course.
weeks ago when the
Exactly.
first round was over, but there's still 5-6 rounds to go.
insane. Yeah, I mean, I think the playoff format is. I think it's interesting for us. I think it gets us in the door, and we've had a chip on our shoulder. We actually talked about this last time we were on the show. The era of Penn State football when we had successful undefeated teams that did not get given the national
Yeah.
championship
Yep.
by the people, the powers that
Yep.
could choose that.
By the president of the United
Yes.
States.
And my father's generation's mad about that. My generation's mad about that.
Mad about 94.
Yeah,
It's
this is our opportunity to get in the door, and I feel like I'm not going to say we're guaranteed a playoff slot this year, but
No.
all we have to do is get in there, and I think we have a shot.
I think some demons were exercised
Yes.
with getting in, and I know it's an easy path. You only had to play SMU and Boise
Yeah.
State with the Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
we took we stopped him.
We did.
We slowed him down at a minimum, but I don't think that he have a worse game against anyone besides Penn State. I'm not
I
sure.
don't think so.
I'd have to go back and look,
Yeah.
but now top 10 pick.
he was
in the
putting
NFL
up
draft.
over 200 yards
Right.
against everybody.
And did he squeeze into 100? He didn't get the record though, right? He
No,
needed like a
no.
few
Yeah, it
more.
was-
Right, he got over 100, but it was like not garbage time because it
Right.
wasn't a true
Well,
blowout.
we
but like,
made him earn it.
Yeah.
right, it was at the end too. Like he was.
And I mean, honestly, more than hung with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Could have easily won
Yeah.
that game. And then you're even talking a completely different. Now you played for the
Right.
national title. So,
Right.
yeah, but the expectations outside of Happy Valley are through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if all of the Penn State fans, and even the massive majority of Penn State fans, agree, because I think a lot of us are. You need to show it to me. You showed a lot last year, but you didn't beat Ohio State.
Yep.
You couldn't beat Notre Dame
didn't.
when it mattered. There were a few things that you didn't do yet. So when does Penn State play Ohio State this season? It's at Ohio
I think
State.
it's in
correct?
October.
Yes.
at
It's in
Ohio-
October?
I think so. at
Well, the
Ohio
big
State.
one is Oregon at the end of September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's at Beaver
Yeah,
Stadium. though.
Oregon.
Are you guys? Who's going to that game?
Hoping.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I haven't been to a game in 11 years, so it's been a long time.
Joey's last game was the game where Ohio State intercepted it, but the ball hit the ground, and they were like literally like, "Oh, the cameras don't work, so we're just giving it to Ohio State."
October 2014 against number 1 or number 2 Ohio State went into overtime. It was me, Justin, and my cousin Todd, and your former roommate, right,
Yeah,
Joe V.
Yeah.
That was the last game I was at, so it's been almost 11 years here coming up. I don't know that it'll get up there this year or not, but you need to beat Ohio
You
State.
need to.
Like you
need
have to,
And until you can do that consistently,
they're
it's always
going to
gonna
be
monkey
a
on your
good
back.
team again this year. They're reloading, but of course they're reloading with all 4 or 5-star players or great transfers. Supposedly they have the best offensive and defensive player in the country. In the wide receiver Jeremiah, and the second or the safety Caleb Downs. So obviously they have talent. They got to find the quarterback, but that Julian Sayin is supposed to be incredible, and they just rotate. Looks like their wide receiver room. They just rotate in quarterbacks and running backs too.
But it's also different, in my opinion. If the best defensive player in the country is the safety, like that's true. You don't have to throw it that way. I know it's not that simple, but like that's different than when it's like Abdul Carter.
It's tougher for a safety to change the tone of the game than
Yeah.
it would be for a defense.
No, you're right. You're right there. And I think if Penn State is going to make noise this year, obviously putting Aller aside, because quarterback, if you're not good at quarterback, you're not winning anything, especially in college football. And it very rarely happens in the NFL. Almost all of the Super Bowls from the last 25 years feature a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yep.
But where perhaps Ohio State is lacking or even more inexperience or needs to prove it is along the line, especially offensive line. And Penn State is pretty strong there. Dennis Sutton is expected to be a top 20 pick in the draft next year. You have a few guys stepping up. The defensive end should be a strength for Penn State again. Short on depth maybe at linebacker, but established players there in DeLuca and Rojas. Some health issues with Rojas last year. Hopefully he's good to
Yeah.
go this year. And the secondary, what Terry Smith has done with the secondary of Penn State has been phenomenal. So Penn State should have a great defense with the best defensive coordinator putting in the system. The expectations are through the roof. I need them to show it to us. That Oregon game in September will be huge, but then obviously that Ohio State game in October is the big one. So
Well, that Oregon game, I think, will be the first step on determining, like, is this team going to compete for the Big Ten and a national title, or is this team like, hey, let's make the playoff and
Hey, be
see if we can win a
10-2,
game.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like
If we
because
can
if
pull an
they handle
upset.
their business against Oregon, no small feat, but like if they do that, then all of a sudden that's one of those expectation changing wins for me where it's like, okay, like, and again, who knows what will happen with Oregon? You know, they've lost a lot, but they're kind of in that spot where you expect them to still be really good.
Even the Oregon game this year, I mean, if you look at the first half versus the second half in that game, we got punched in the mouth in the first half, and it took that long to recover, and it turned out to be much better than it
just
could have
really,
been.
like
I
the
mean,
USC game. It seemed to be
yeah.
almost identical. Yeah. Well, we're over an hour now, so we need to cut this short. Got people in the comments saying they're going to the Oregon game.
Yeah.
Excellent, and I'm very excited. Do you know this comment or two?
I know the other one.
Okay, I was going to say, we got people just coming up, showing out for Wesley, saying hi to Wes on the stream. So we didn't get to all the topics, especially we didn't get to talk about Batman villains. So disappointed there. But
You'll just have to win again.
well, you'll just have to win again,
Yeah.
or we'll have to reach out to your dad and get you guys to come back on the show another time. We got a busy schedule over the next few months. The summer and fall are crazy, so it may not be for a year, but we can see if we can connect again to finish our discussion. And at that time, maybe we're talking about good things for both the Phillies and Penn State as well.
We can only hope.
Yes.
We can only
So,
hope.
well, congratulations, Andy, on winning the bracket challenge again, and great showing for you, Wes, as well. Didn't get your dad this year, but March, March is only 10 months away,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it'll be here again before you know it. But I appreciate you guys coming this evening and joining us for the show.
Thanks a lot. We had a blast.
All right, Justin, you got anything to say?
No,
Anything?
thanks for
All
coming on.
right, we'll wrap up. I'll say May the 4th be with you again. Happy Star Wars Day, everyone. And also,
Yeah.
I want to wish a happy anniversary to my parents celebrating tomorrow for 46 years. So,
Congratulations.
Jeez,
happy
congratulations.
anniversary to my parents. And that's where I think we'll call it. We're not having a show next weekend. It's Mother's Day. So we will celebrate with all the wonderful women in our lives. And we will be back then on May 18th. And Justin, it's time for our NFL preview because we don't have a lot of games or a lot of shows coming up over the next few months. We got to get started now if we want to finish before we're back talking Wilson football at the end of July or early August. So NFL previews kicks off in 2 weeks here on the Joe Mays and J-Raff show on episode 420. But that's it for episode 419. Dr. Hoffert strikes back. Signing off here in the Joe Mays and J-Raff show studios. Thanks for joining us this week, everyone. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as The Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.